I'm Catrina Thompson, Chief of Police for the Winston-Salem Police Department, and I am privileged to be the current board chair for United Way of Forsyth County. In my roles, both as Chief of Police and as board chair for United Way, as a community leader and as a mom in this community, I believe that it is incumbent upon all of us to work together to provide the necessities for members of our community, and that includes our children, our homeless, our school system, and our nonprofits that are working together to improve the quality of life for members of our community. We're all living in some unprecedented times during this international pandemic. We're finding that people who were employed are now unemployed. Those who were living paycheck to paycheck to be able to pay their rent are now homeless. Many of our children, because of the pandemic, are not only out of school, but also out of the opportunity to be able to participate in any of the activities that they would otherwise participate in outside of school. And that is because a lot of those organizations are experiencing the crisis, financial crisis, of operating the organizations. Your contribution to United Way can change that. Since the start of the international pandemic, United Way of Forsyth County, along with other community organizations, saw the need to support some of the most vulnerable here in our community. With that funding, moms who would otherwise have been homeless were able to maintain their residencies. Children who would have otherwise been hungry has had food on their table. From my unique yet sad perspective, I've had the opportunity to witness some members of our community go from being vulnerable to being in crisis mode. When individuals don't have the opportunity to support their families, when they are employed one moment and then all of a sudden unemployed, when they had food on their tables and now their children are hungry, they will do whatever it takes to maintain survival for themselves and their children. We live in the most powerful country in the world, and no one should have to go hungry. When hunger is unattended, people will resort to crimes to feed their families. That's an example of a social issue not being addressed and becoming a criminal issue. If you go to the Robert Wood Johnson's life expectancy website and you plug in an address in Winston-Salem in the 27101 zip code, you'll find that our children living and growing up in that zip code have a life expectancy of 13.8. That's 14 years lower than some of our children living and growing up in the 27104 zip code. And in some cases, some areas, there's only 1.5 miles that separates those two zip codes, but they are worlds apart. It is incumbent upon us to level the playing fields for our children across all zip codes. Even today, if you plug in the zip code of the community that I grew up in Detroit, Michigan, you'll find that my zip code even today says that based on that environment and that location, I should not be chief of police here or anywhere else. But there are variables that came into my life, like the United Way that supported the Head Start that my sisters and I attended, that changed our outcomes. We have the power right here in Winston-Salem and Forsyth County to change the outcomes for our children living in some of those underserved zip codes and increasing their life expectancy. How powerful is that? By donating and contributing to United Way, you have the opportunity to be a part of the variables that change the outcome for many of our children in our community. United Way was one of the variables in my life, in my community, in my village that changed my outcome. That did not just improve the outcomes in my life, it changed the outcomes in the lives of my 2 teenage children. My daughter will be able to attend college. My son, who has special needs, will be able to have the opportunity to be included in the community because of organizations like the Enrichment Center and the United Way, which supports those organizations. You see, if that can happen for me, that can happen for anybody in our community. I feel obligated to ensure that occurs. Won't you join me? Your support means actual change, real results, and bright futures for members of our community. We are all better when we work together. United we fight, united we win. Thank you for living united and giving united.